let's talk a little bit more. We just did a deep dive into what we've learned about these Epstein emails and Trump calling people saying, don't release the files, and scheduling this emergency meeting to discuss what to do to prevent the release now that Adelaide Grahal is going to be sworn in. And Leavitt, Trump's not going to go in front of cameras for a second, but Leavitt had to go in front of reporters. And I have to tell you, it did not go well. I don't know how it could have gone well, given what we learned. See the other segment if you're just watching this on YouTube as a video and you don't know what I'm talking about. Epstein was talking a bunch about Trump this, Trump that. Trump was the dog, didn't bark. He knew about the girls. He spent a lot of time with one of the victims. That stuff. And this was just devastating, watching Leavitt try to... It's just so disgusting to me that anyone who has an iota of integrity wouldn't go, all right, that's enough for me. I'm out. But no, she's going to keep trying to defend. Watch this.
Requests. So this administration has done more than any, and it just shows how this is truly a manufactured hoax by the Democrat Party. For now, they're talking about it all of a sudden because President Trump is in the Oval Office. But when Joe Biden was sitting in there, the Democrats never brought this up. This wasn't an issue that they cared about because they actually don't care about the victims in these cases. They care about trying to score political points against President Trump, as we have, of course, seen with this government shutdown.
I wish they were released earlier. 100%. I didn't realize there was this much more to know. I didn't. Until y'all made it a campaign promise, and then Trump started acting psychotic. That's what gave a lot of people the, red flag. Watch this.
Thanks for being here, Bev. Ouija.
Thank you, Karoline.
Sure.
I have your statement about the new Epstein emails that have been released by House Democrats. Separate from why you believe the emails were made public, can you address their substance? Did the president ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep. And this email you refer to with the name of a victim that was unredacted now and has since been reported on in this room, so I will go ahead and say it, Virginia Giuffre. And it was CBS's own reporting, Ouija, that recently wrote that Miss Giuffre maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her. And so I think it's a question worth asking the Democrat Party, and you should all go ask them.
Oh my gosh, this is so pitiful. Her family is saying, why won't Trump be transparent and release what the government has? That's her family. That's what she fought for. This is not about Trump did nothing. He's the impediment right now to transparency. That's it. Now, there's also more, in my estimation, but from your perspective, that's all that we want you to focus on. It's unbelievable how she can turn everything into a Democrat's fault. Excuse me, sorry, they started playing. Y'all are the ones with all the power here. I want to know why, and actually she's about to be asked about this. Why is he calling Boebert, saying, don't you dare support the release of these files? It's you who doesn't care about victims. Say whatever you want about how Democrats are messaging or they're focusing too much on what could be about Trump. All of it's irrelevant. All those talking points, it's actually disgusting how much you're focusing on that when we know Trump's calling members of Congress trying to prevent transparency and the release. That's true. Leavitt doesn't even deny it. But watch what she says. This is mind-blowing. Please do, as we continue through this, if you appreciate these updates, click the subscribe button on YouTube. It makes a big difference.
Given your interest in transparency, Karoline, why are White House officials then meeting with Representative Boebert in an effort to try and get her to not sign this petition calling for the release of the files?
Doesn't it show transparency that members of the Trump administration are willing to brief members of Congress whenever they please? Doesn't that show our level of transparency? Doesn't that show the level of transparency when we are willing to sit down with members of Congress and address their concerns? That is that's a defining factor of transparency. Having discussions with members of Congress about various issues, and I'm not going to detail conversations that took place in the Situation Room in the press briefing room. Right.
The Situation Room? The Situation Room? You're bringing Lauren Boebert into the room where presidents sit when they're about to kill Osama bin Laden to talk about Epstein? Oh my gosh, I don't even think she meant to say that. That she just thought it was intimidating. I won't detail what he says in the Situation Room. Why is he in the Situation Room? You see that? We just killed someone. Hey, also, you're not gonna vote for the Epstein files to be released, right? What is that, General? Oh, 3 people just got killed. Okay, wow. You see that? I say it, it happens. Anyway, separate issue. It's weird. How's your family, Lauren? How's that boyfriend whose crotch you pummeled? How's he? Is he doing okay? Okay. I'd really hate if anything happened to your shooter's bar. That would be really sad, right? Like an airstrike. No, I'm totally kidding. So that was a weird reference, but that could not have been a more incoherent answer. The president is transparent because he's briefing members of Congress to address their concerns. What? Their concerns? Like, why does Epstein keep mentioning you? Those concerns? Why do you seem to be fighting against the release of these? Those concerns? No, that's not transparent. That's called a cover-up. Leavitt. What's the next question you think she should be asked? We're getting word that Ghislaine Maxwell is getting concierge-style service, preferential treatment. A prison official described it as feeling like he was Ghislaine Maxwell's bitch in prison. That's how much in this new prison she's being treated preferentially. The warden is helping her with her pardon application, reportedly. So, reasonable question is, y'all aren't going to pardon her, right?
Well, if the president is considering a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell.
Again, he's answered this repeatedly. It's not something he's talking about or even thinking about at this moment in time. I can assure you of that.
Okay. Could you sit him down in the Situation Room for a second and say, think about it? Because it should take about 1.5 seconds to think about it and go, no, of course not. Of course not. Still won't take it off the table, though, Scary. Now, on something different, the White House is very bummed out that the shutdown is going to prevent the release of jobs numbers. Damn.
Economists, investors, and policymakers at the Federal Reserve to receive critical government data. The Democrats may have permanently damaged the federal statistical system with October CPI and jobs reports likely never being released. And all of that economic data released will be permanently impaired, leaving our policymakers at the Fed flying blind at a critical period.
I'm sure they're just totally devastated that October, we're not going to be able to give you barely any economic data on what happened in October. But we promised it was good. It was really good. We can't tell you, but we know it was good. Trump's going to say that. They're going to be like, hey, so what people really think to say the economy is getting worse, but we didn't get any economic data on certain metrics in October. So like, what should we believe? He's like, trust me, it was... I have inside, I can't give you the metrics, but I have inside analysts who told me it's really, really good.
When do we get the economic data releases? We're craving data, especially those numbers on jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been briefed on that yet because there's been, quite a lot of disruption because of this terrible shutdown. And so, for example, I've been told that some of the surveys were never actually completed, so we'll never perhaps even know what happened in that month. And so we're going to be staring a little bit in cloudy weather for a while until we get the data agencies back up.
What?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, y'all already were talking about delaying releases of jobs report after your new BLS commissioner was put in because you didn't like the report, so you removed the other one despite them not doing anything wrong and put a loyalist in there. And then I think, was that the loyalist who was like at January 6th or something? And then he had the war Nazi ship behind him. And then maybe he might have also been kicked out. I can't remember. But I thought y'all were cleaning it up so that only good reports would come out. Now, last Leavitt clip. She gets asked last week or a couple weeks ago We asked you about the new information you hadn't previously revealed, which was Trump got an MRI when he was at Walter Reed. What was that for? And why does he keep getting MRIs and then cognitive tests and then cognitive tests? Why do the doctors keep thinking he needs more cognitive tests?
A brain.
And she says, yes, I do have an update. I told you I'd go get an update from the doctors. I do have one. Let's see.
One more. You recently said you'd check with President Trump about why he needs to get an MRI on his recent trip to Walter Reed. Do you have any more detail on that?
I do, and I'm glad you asked. As stated in the memo provided on October 10th, President Trump received advanced imaging at Walter Reed Medical Center as part of his routine physical examination. The full results were reviewed by attending radiologists and consultants, and all agreed that President Trump remains in exceptional physical health, which I know all of you will see with your own eyes later this evening when he opens up his dinner to the press, and perhaps you will see him when he signs the bill to reopen the federal government. So stay tuned on plans for that. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. So that wasn't any new information. I don't believe you. If any doctor is saying Trump is in the best health of anyone of his life, he's doing great. He's falling asleep in the Oval Office. His hands look weird. His ankles look weird. He's getting MRIs, etc. Then that's a bad doctor. He's an excellent physical health. We can see that's not true. And you said you were going to get more information as to why he got the MRI. Because a lot of doctors were saying, oh, usually there would be a reason, a symptom, some reason that you would need that. All you said was you repeated the talking points about how great he is. No, but what? Okay. So you're not going to give us any new information. That's a little suspicious.